It is MLP Dota and John X Fire. John, I want to ask you what FNatic need to do differently for Game 3. I don't think I need to ask you that question. I think I already know the answer. Overall,
Dire team back.
I guess I should ask you, Adroit, like they're still probably looking to be the underdogs going into Game 3. What do you think they need to focus on to pull off this victory?
They've just got to play their own game. We saw that to great success in game number 2. Just play by their own pace, continuously shut down Savage. That's really the key thing with FNatic. The moment Savage falls behind a bit too much, it kind of falls apart. You saw it in game number 2. There was no recovery mechanism for Savage there. Just the entire map shut down way too fast. They couldn't quite get anything done with any of their heroes. Of course, perhaps for FNatic's side, I hate to say this, but with that Enigma ban out, they banned the NP. I think they're going to go for the techies again if they do.
I would respect them so much if they did. I really would. No, I'm not joking. I mean, I really would. I really would. I would. Because, you know, the thing is, John, obviously, like, you win game 1, and we know game 2, you know, you joke around a bit. You know, it's a fun draft from FNatic that came out. You know, they still played it as seriously as they possibly could. If they chose it again, I would completely respect. I really would. That shows that, you know, they actually believe that the hero is viable. And I want to see it. I want to see it work.
I mean, they have won with it. Like, for real, though. They have won in the tournament very early on. So if they did want to, they can do that. But I think with a Batrider ban out, it doesn't look likely. They would have to ban the NP simply because, again, the prox mines just couldn't do much. Their laning was kind of shot up. I think their Bristleback pick kind of tied into that as well. Like, you can't really expect too much from Bristleback without farm. For a lot of that game, Savage was fairly underfarmed. We'll see how FNatic does shake it up. They do ban out the AA themselves, although there isn't any option for the Alchemist anyway. Perhaps there's a specific game plan they have in mind with regen-heavy heroes. Maybe we're going to be seeing something like the Chen or the Oracle popping up once more, giving them all that sustain in the fights they want. Maybe it'll go with something else.
Hey, I mean, look, the Chen is available, and we always say if the Chen's not banned, you probably should take it. They won't have the Alchemist to go with it, but you don't necessarily need the Alchemist. And FNatic, they're going to start off with the Void Spirit. Another very popular hero that, you know, has been in the meta ever since it really came out. FNatic, they want to try and run this in this final game.
Yeah, I can't blame them. It's left open. All the Spirit Brothers were left open this time around. Very easy pick for them, but Adroit, you know, we were talking about the Chen, straight into the Chen, back to the Ember Spirit as well. So we're more than likely going to be seeing the Void Spirit up against the Ember Spirit in the lane, unless FNatic does something a bit funky. We have seen, I believe Storm Spirit's picked up after the Void towards the end as well as a bit of a left field throw, which you could then transition to Void Spirit to safe lane or elsewhere, perhaps support role. That is an option for FNatic, but so far looking promising for Adroit. The Chen is just overall very strong to have, gives you great sustain, great laning presence. The Ember Spirit as well is just a very, very strong hero right now. All the damage it brings in. Solid laner, doesn't really lose out in any sort of exchange in any matchup, so it can always kind of find its timing just right. Can really give a lot for your team.
FNatic's turn to ban.
FNatic's second pickup, they do go into the Pugna. We've seen a lot of work happening with this Pugna pick over the past few series, and you can't really blame FNatic for going back down that route, because it does also work quite well with the Void Spirit, John. Most of his damage is magic. Pugna has Decrepify. The wave clear against the Chen, always going to be some very, very nice added value. I imagine that probably is going to be a DJ Pugna coming out.
More than likely. It's going to be in that support role. There's a lot of value in that hero there. He's still, you know, he doesn't take too much farm to be super successful. I think EXP is the key thing. And still pressure towers quite well, which is his natural kit. Still be a complete nuisance in these fights. This is going to make it hard for Adroit to find a great sort of right-click core if they're going to be looking for that on their safe lane. Pugna does put a big dent in that plan because it gets a lot harder when he has innate disarm, or it just makes your target un-right-clickable.
Dire team ban.
FNatic, fifth ban out will be the Centaur. not wanting to have to deal with that tanky offlaner. Especially when you want to just be able to burst down anybody that gets in your way with this opening of the Void Spirit Pugna. They will get rid of the Morphling, which makes enough sense. You've already got the Reprimand there from the Pugna. You don't want to really add to it with an Adaptive Strike. Adroit, however, they liked what they saw from Bok, and they will go back into that Clockwork.
Can't blame Adroit for falling back to that hero. Bok had a fantastic showing with his clock. Can really bring a lot. We talk about it every single time. The clock and the ember. You've got these heroes that can come from afar together really quickly onto a target. That much easier to get those wide-reaching ganks off easily. Though Adroit does set themselves up quite nicely for that kind of reach.
Dire team pick.
FNatic, you go into the Snapfire pick now, another very, very powerful support to have, and of course now you've got the two new heroes in one draft. Both known to be, you know, somewhat overpowered. Has been a couple nerfs to both, but I'd still say they are very, very strong right now.
10 seconds.
FNatic is looking very, very nice. So far anyway, and you know what, John, the Mortimer's
5
Kisses
seconds remaining.
is against some really nice wave clear against Chen, right? Because in the middle of a team fight, you're trying to micro all these creeps around, you're trying to get as much efficiency out of them as possible, and with a Snapfire, she just spits fire at them, and suddenly they just start melting. It's not really rocket science. They don't last very long underneath those Mortimer's Kisses.
Definitely not. I don't think the wave clear is going to be a major factor for that snap, mainly because the Pugna already does a fantastic. They're really just getting it for more to pump into in these team fights. I would like to see something solid for their control. You're going to need something to keep everyone in a tight spot. The Mars is still available for FNatic if they wanted to go that route. Does work really well with the Snapfire, gives you great team fight, and you know the Void Spirit pretty much enjoy.
Oh, John, you've gone robotic on me.
That is what we.
Hello again. Are you there, John? Have you disconnected?
No, I'm here. My internet. I have 400 ping.
Okay. Might need to change that server if you get a chance, John, as it looks like the issue may still be going on. While you're doing that, Adroit looking to make their fourth pickup now. Quite a bit of reserve time for this, but they have plenty left anyway, about 45 seconds. This next pickup should indicate whether this Clockwork is going to be a support or core clock. I do believe it should probably be the core again, but you just never know.
Turn to pick.
Darkseer.
Now the Darkseer comes out, so arguably it is a support Clockwork, but we've seen the Darkseer being played as a support as well, so it's still very hard to tell. Other than that though, you've got a very potent combination between the two.
It's that classic run-at-your-face combination. The Clockwork Darkseer just kind of wins out any lane. Just battery assault in. You get the surge on. You get the you get the AoE damage off. Really easy to melt down anyone that FNatic throws up in that lane. It's tough for them to maintain presence there. Adroit can be looking strong, looking aggressive for this game number 3 so far with their draft. FNatic still has to really give us something to tie this draft together. Pugna Snap. Solid heroes on their own, but really something to tie up that team fight that Adroit will continuously try to bring.
Faceless Void.
There you go. That does it. That's great team fight right there. The Faceless Void comes out. Chronosphere is a massive spell that everyone's going to be benefiting from. Maybe not the Void Spirit. He's the one that probably won't. But you've got the Pugna, you've got the Blast there. You've got the Kisses coming out from the Snap. It is going to ensure that all those spells land. It's going to have backup every single time he has that Chronosphere up. And FNatic will have to play around these cooldowns. That's something we talk about every single time the Void's there. But I think that's something this team definitely pull off. So they've set themselves up quite nicely to face up against what Adroit has. That should allow them to really keep a solid lock on that Ember Spirit. Talk about the Ember Spirit slippery. They don't have the best stuns, but they do have a Chronosphere. They can always rely on that.
Very true. I guess the Void won't have too much of a tough time up against the Clock Dark combination as well, right? Because you can always time walk off the damage and get out of range of the battery assault if they do manage to make the jump. It's still going to be a little bit annoying because they're just going to continuously push the creep wave in that safe lane of FNatic, but I guess there's not many pos ones that can deal with the aggression that these two bring out anyway. Void is probably one of the better ones to deal with this kind of lineup.
FNatic's turn to pick.
FNatic will get rid of the Riki as their final ban. They don't want to have to see that again, and you know the Riki with the Darkseer as well could be very, very frustrating, as you have Invis and Iron Shell on at the same time, and you could just kind of ghost walk behind people and, you know, be a ghost, just haunt them.
10 seconds remaining.
Potent combo. Really old school combo with that one.
5
Yeah.
You don't
seconds
tend to see it
remaining.
too often nowadays. Possibility is taken away by FNatic, unfortunately. No fun for us
No.
seeing that. Of course, that is kind of counteracted by one item, and, well, Riki doesn't have Invis in the lane anymore, so it will take a while for that specific thing to happen.
Well, FNatic, let's pick up for them. 30 seconds of reserve time left. Plenty of time to pick up techies, John. 20 seconds, in fact, to press that techies button if you do want.
No. No.
No? Okay.
Not for that.
FNatic, how are you going to finish this one off? Imagine Adroit picked up techies. That would be hilarious. FNatic, they will go for the DJ Assassin, so Core Pugner is what we're seeing here, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's pretty solid for FNatic. Core Pugna, I mean, he's a hero that doesn't need a farm, but he can enjoy it. He scales quite nicely with the early item pickups. A lot of ways to really itemize on that Pugna. I think the Ags
10
Rush still works out
seconds
quite
remaining.
nicely, just having that drain really
5
available to you
seconds
nearly
remaining.
every single time is going to give a lot more towards FNatic as well, in terms of sustain. So, Core Pugna can work quite well. I can see Ice just being annoying, that hero. Adroit can be to see what they do pick up last, something that will kind of just farm okay. You don't want to fall too far behind. You have to play around the tempo. FNatic, be cautious of that Void. They do fall back to that PA. That's a hero we have seen once before in a different league, and the performance was certainly lackluster. But this is a comfort pick for Adroit. Natsumi has played a lot of PA we have seen before, so I guess they just wanted to go with something they know out here. Last game.
I think so, John. Like, you've chosen PA into a Void and a Pugner. Like, Pugner just decreps, so you've got control there, and your face is Void. I mean, the evasion can be a little bit annoying for the Void, but overall, Chrono is pretty good up against that PA. She really has nothing to do about it. I just feel like with the Pugner there, though, she's just going to get decrepified constantly.
I think what Adroit is trying to go for here is reliance on Mac and Boomy. So you got these two heroes that can reach into that backline, burst down these heroes first, have the PA come in and clean it up afterwards, really set the pace here. I think that's what FNatic would be looking for. Of course, there's also the possibility as the game goes on, Natsumi can just blink in, immediately get one hit off and crit out Ice. Not a very tanky hero, that Pugna. Certainly a possibility, but as you mentioned, there are windows of vulnerability there for Adroit, and that is certainly something that FNatic is very aware of. So how much value they get from their PA last pick, it's up in the air. I wouldn't say it's the best game for the PA, but it is something that Adroit does fall back to, so something they're very comfy with running.
Well, we'll get into a game number 3, the final game of the night. FNatic to try and close this out,
Prepare for
remain
battle.
undefeated of series if they can. Adroit would love to take this third game off them. They have the draft to do it, but it's definitely not going to be an easy task. You know, looking back at that game number 2, even considering the draft that FNatic was running, like, just 23 Savage on the Bristleback, he was constantly at the top of the net worth for the first 20 minutes of the game. Like, and that was impressive considering how much they were throwing their bodies at the side of Adroit.
Yeah, it was a lot of investment, but Savage does always tend to find that farm. On the Void, of course, it's not as naturally fast and clearing those waves out, not like the bristleback. So if he is contested, it is going to be a bit harder. Doesn't have any way of clearing out those camps fast like a Alchemist would as well. He has high mobility, so at the very least he can travel through that jungle quite fast. You certainly wouldn't want to start off too far behind in this kind of lineup. Not against what Adroit has. They're going to be online fast. You have to kind of keep pace there with your Chronosphere.
Okay. Well, Adroit look to loop around very early on, and it looks like they're going to go for the creep block on the Radiant side creeps. Savage, I don't know if he's going to be able to do much about this. In fact, they're just going to maybe creep straight off the bat. They've got the Iron Shells out. Double Iron Shell, block it up, clear it out. By the time it gets to the T1 tower, it's definitely dead. And you've even got CML there on the Chen, just in case they need the help. And well, this is really going to force Savage to just have to farm underneath that T1 tower. And if you can get a couple Iron Shells on those creeps underneath that T1, it can make it very hard for the Void.
Definitely. It does really hurt the Void, especially when he goes for level 1 time lock. Not going to have a way of putting that damage off with the time walk. Still, Savage not going to be too upset. Clearing out this creep wave just fine.
Yeah. Well, with a player like Savage, it's not like he's going to really suffer underneath the T1. Like, he is going to farm just fine. It is quite literally his job to hit creeps and get gold. He does a very good job of it. So, in actuality, we have seen this a couple times with Darkseers skipping like this, Darkseers skipping creeps like this. Sometimes you end up giving more gold away to the opposing pos one, and Savage still hasn't missed a creep. He's A-OK. He's perfectly fine. They're gonna go into Jabs. Jabs is really the one who's gonna suffer on the Snapfire. Boomy will get a Scatter Blast to the face. Savage will continue on the farming escapades. And I suppose this is the point where we probably should have a look at the other lanes, because both the Darkseer and the Void are just going to freely be farming up. So mid lane Mac up against Moon. Two Spirits once again in this mid lane. However, this time it's not going to be a Storm, but rather a Void Spirit.
It's a much better start for Moon as well. Solidly ahead of Mac. Take wall for the Embers. Start applying its own pressure quite nicely.
Jabs, the very long-range Scatter Blast, just barely connecting to Boomy, just on the backside of it. That'll be first blood going to the way of FNatic. And, well, I suppose you kind of slowed down the farm of Savage a little bit. I believe he missed a creep or two there by going after that clock a little bit, but he's still perfectly fine.
Not under any pressure. The main thing Adroit is aiming for with this is to find solid farm for their Darkseer, which they certainly are. 24 last hits on him just by those Iron Shells. They have access to the jungle, well, much freer access. Savage does have. Bach is just really maximizing his farm here.
Of course, you can have a look up to that top lane as well. Well, you'll see Ice on the Pugna. They'll be up against CML and Natsumi on the PA, and DJ will also be there on the Nyx Assassin. There's not really too much Natsumi can do to force Ice out. They are both at very low levels anyway. DJ gonna try and harass out the Chen a little bit, but CML will be perfectly fine with it all.
Still the last hit in the big creep.
Nice.
So, just small victories like that going the way of FNatic. Of course, Natsumi's not having too hard of a time up here top. Definitely not the free farm you're seeing down bot. He is certainly ahead of Ice just by a small margin. Are having some issues with the Pugna in this lane.
Certainly are. Boomy gonna rotate around Jabs. Scatter Blast, Mac gonna rotate in as well. Jabs could be in huge trouble here. You do have that Iron Shell on Boomy as well. I believe that is a level 2 Iron Shell, and yeah, it is. But the cookie does allow Jabs to just get out of this. Fortunately for him, the Surge does not. They will close the gap again. Now with the Cogs, Jabs should certainly just die. but they ran out of Iron Shell. And Boomy just didn't have any more DPS. And Jabs will surprisingly get out safely.
It's a lot of time expended there from both sides, really. I think Boomy's not going to be too happy with that. He could just be soaking some EXP. They have stopped the creep cutting, so they're just shoving the wave out normally now.
I mean, Savage is at 32-0. Like, I think they kind of realized that the creep skipping, while it gave them a nice head start, didn't really do much else, and it kind of helped the Void.
No pressure. He's not being hit by the Iron Shell. Goes back again. He's going to have level 6 at a pretty good time. He's going to have really solid farm for himself. The key thing for FNatic is, once more, to play around that early Chronosphere.
Well, mid lane Jabs does end up going down. Boomy is there, and it actually goes to Mac and Bok, who had the DPS out before Boomy even got there. So it'll be a 1-to-1 so far between these two teams. Very slow starters. Both teams are just more than happy to secure some farm. No real rush. It's just all about trying to get the little wins in these lanes. Nice. Gonna get jumped here by Natsumi, but does have Decrepify. And that's all that's required. CML doesn't really have any spells he can throw out to really dish out some damage. And bot lane, Chrono will be committed by 23 Savage. They are going to end up finding Bok on the Darkseer.
First Chrono of the game being put to great use by FNatic. Finding themselves a nice, easy kill. And once more, that is giving Savage a fairly free start. I mean, you could say the same for Bok. Free farm on Darkseer just doesn't sound as terrifying as free farm on Fist.
Your anger is useless.
Well, now Mac does actually end up going down to Moon. Of course, Moon hitting that power spike. Now level 7 on the Void Spirit and making full use of it. In fact, he's really dominated this mid lane. Unfortunately for the Ember, he's only sitting at level 5, just about to hit that level 6 mark. But Moon just perfectly times his rotation. Gets him before he hits that level 6. The bot lane, Jabs, gonna fall low, but Bok is falling even lower, and Bok will die again. Now Moon rotates, wants to go after Boomy, and this should be an almost guaranteed kill as the Remnant will end up connecting. And that'll be a 5-1. 7 minutes in, and this draft from FNatic is really starting to come out online.
Very clinical way of playing it as well from FNatic. Not overextending, they're just playing it calm, playing it smooth. They haven't even gotten any out from top, so those supports have been kind of stuck in place. DJ did dip to lane earlier on, but just that once. And overall, FNatic is very happy with the state of game. They've got all the farm they want on their cores this time around. Adroit, sure, they got free farm on Bok, but he's died twice now, so some of that is kind of taken away. And that mid lane matchup just has not worked out too well for Mac.
Oh, Moon still trying to bully Mac in the mid lane. Mac will survive, but does lose a lot of HP. Of course, with this Void Spirit, you can just keep being aggressive. Though bot lane, Bok! Yeah, okay. I mean, I don't really think he can really keep coming back to this lane any longer. It just... Well, there's 4 heroes down here now. If Bok was still around, it's 3 with Bok missing, but Adroit appear to want to try and set up on that bot tier 1 tower and try to slow down 23 Savage a little bit.
Dire's top tower is
Problem
Just
is,
doesn't feel
you're gonna have
doesn't feel
Chrono
fast
in 10
enough.
seconds.
Yeah, you're gonna have that team fight available for FNatic. They're gonna have the tools available for that. They're gonna commit the TPs to find these kills. Not sure how you really play this one.
Oh, Boomy, he runs into the Aether Remnant.
You don't.
That's an easy kill.
has been killed. Dire's top tower is under attack.
Savage, do you want a Chrono? Remnants forward, they jump, they do find Jabs. Savage is just man fighting for now as Moon does join him, though nice time walk to take all that damage off, and he's still waiting for the Chrono and now gets it. He only found 2, however. He does not get the main target, which was Mac, and Adroit do manage to find a very, very important kill onto Moon.
Definitely a big target for them to take. They also managed to bait out that Chrono. Savage not managing to make that second Chrono count, but they do just swap out the lane. goes up top onto Ice Ice Ice, taking over top, getting himself free farm, and Ice just goes back to base. So Savage going to be switching out now. They are going to be sacrificing this tier 1 bot for that tier 1 top. But I don't think FNatic is going to be minding too much. And Adroit is just going to try to find a lot more. They need to keep hunting down Savage and Moon, pressure Moon to really tough spots where he has to commit everything he has, and punish him. I think that's really going to be the state of the game, and also hunt down Savage without the chrono. Up now, this is the perfect time to try to find where that void is and take him out once more.
Absolutely, you got to make the play now. Still not really going to be easy though. You don't have the greatest lockdown. Like you don't even have hookshot ready on Boomy yet, but he does have a tomb coming out. But perhaps once the tomb comes out, he tries to make that gank happen with the level 6. Just don't think the Ember Chains is going to be enough, and yeah, it's only at level 1 anyway. Wall to be dropped, bot. Casually dropped the wall. I mean, that's really all that's going to happen up the top lane. Like, it's just a casual wall.
Yeah, they're not committing for any sort of move onto Savage. He only has a minute left on his cooldown. He has DJ around as well. Want to get something
don't
done.
run through the wall. You might reveal you're invisible. He gets very close. Moon is also going to rotate. It looks like they just want to pick on Bok. Really shut down this Darks here in Bok. There's a Spy Carapace coming out. DJ does miss the Impale, however. And immediately goes to the TP out. Bok, hookshot, going to be there from Boomy. They want to at least secure the Nyx Assassin, and they do. A bit unfortunate that they missed the Impale. However, you still have Moon and Savage there, and they easily clean him up anyway. So FNatic won't really be too upset. In fact, they found Natsumi down bot lane. Natsumi will jump in after jabs, but Moon is there, and he has so much magic damage. You have to be very careful if you are Natsumi, who's now going to try and make a run for it, but the Mortimer's Kisses, they are flying out. One will connect, and it will only be one at the end, but the 8th Remnant from Moon is just perfect.
I seek out a different kind.
The net worth lead does increase to 2k.
Drop some really key heroes there. They lose out in Bok again, and they lose. That trade does favor FNatic in the end. You have to remember, Savage, he has his Chronosphere now. He's ready to go if they want to force another fight out. Sure, they expanded the Mortimer Kisses early, but I reckon they don't actually need it with the state of the game right now. They just need to land a Chrono on a big spot, make sure Moon kind of drops everyone low beforehand, and have, I suppose, Ice 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 around with the Nether Blast ready. No damage in that chrono.
Well, he does have the full diffuse on the courier, so Savage is definitely going to have some damage output now within that chrono, and there it is. That is a very quick diffusal. Hookshot mid lane. He's going to be onto Ice Ice Ice. He needs to Crepify, does go for the life drain, but the stun from the battery assault will cancel that off though. Savage, he gets a 3-man chrono and now goes straight after Boomy on that clock. Can he find more? They want to go after Maka. Very nice cookie coming up from Jabs, just holding him down through the Remnant. And Adroit, they find one, but they might lose even more than 2, as now the 8th Remnant from Moon will latch on to CML. CML just a sitting duck now to the Astral Step, and now Spy Carapace coming up from DJ. They won't follow up on the Darks here, but
This one was over.
FNatic, they're taking just clean engagements, just over and over again.
Finding all the kills they want, always getting the cores they aim for, forcing out spell usages from Adroit. Wall isn't a particularly, it's still a cooldown you have to track, and ooh, Mac, he just comes back in.
It's definitely not advised. It's a bit of a scary lineup to go into right now. They did want to protect that T1 mid, but they don't have the chance. Still Boomy gonna get caught out now in the Dire side jungle. Does get the hook shot off, but it is blocked by the Nyx Assassin. Still, there is going to be backup now. Savage, he needs to run as DJ does go down. TP's coming in as the Radiant side do control the outpost in the Dire jungle. Natsumi continues to jump forward, but here come the Mortimer's kisses from Jam.
man.
And Savage is just mad fighting. No crits coming out for Natsumi. It finally happens, but it doesn't matter. Savage, he's just the manliest of men. Back will finally take down the kill. Jabs wants to continue the chase. Scatter Blast available now. It's not enough. The heal comes out from the chest as well. Mac barely survives. Meanwhile, in the back, however, Moon will punish CML for his insolence. At least they found the void. Boomy, you really don't want a cookie coming out of the DJ. Just pushes him into the cons. Jabs that wasn't nice.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Oh god, just giving him a bit of a zap. Bugs don't enjoy that.
No.
I think that's it. A solid set of trades for FNatic. At the very least, Adroit did manage to find kill onto that Face's Void, so they do manage to clean out Savage. Managed to
Never refuse go.
get the biggest target out there. Doesn't swing too much. They had to drop Natsumi on top. Not the best result of that trade. Would have rather had Natsumi live to see that kill. So you're not gaining as much as you'd expect because of the lack of your pause one there.
Oh, hook shot. Boomy, very nice, cancelling off that TP. He had the vision from the rocket flare, and it was a very instantaneous kind of hook shot coming out from the clock. Nice little kill going over to Bok on the Darkseer. I gotta tell you though, like the state of Adroit still concerns me quite a lot for their sake. Like you look at Natsumi, does he have the Deso coming out? It looks like he does. So he does get the Deso out around that 16-minute mark. Not too bad. It does kind of feel like he desperately will need that BKB up as soon as possible because FNatic, they're just kind of running over him with Moon's Void Spirit. In fact, DJ is going to be there. He gets an Impale off. And Natsumi, nice Blink Strike. Moon didn't have a follow-up Astral Step, so Natsumi will manage to dance his way out of there. But that's kind of why he needs the BKB, because that could just continue to happen. If you have one extra hero there, Natsumi is almost certainly just dead.
Definitely. On top of that, he doesn't get that BKB in time. Decrap is always going to be a massive issue from Ice. Dropping it onto that PA means that the damage just can't go out. Even if you could survive through the burst, you're really just standing there and not contributing at all.
FNatic, they're going to smoke up and make their way up top. No Vendetta available on DJ. Still needs 25 seconds for that, but they do have Chrono, which is, you know, arguably a lot better. And so they'll go for the tier 2 top tower push.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
You know, usually with the Chen lineup, you'd expect the Chen to be the one pushing very, very quickly. FNatic are proving that that doesn't always have to be the case, as they will go for a direct trade here with Adroit.
Dire's top tower has fallen.
But I'm sure Savage wants to commit the Chrono. So I'm wondering where he does make that happen. And in fact, it may be cutting off Mac here on the Ember. In fact, no, he will go back to farming the jungle. And you know, generally this isn't advised, John, but you gotta love the build coming out from Savage. He's going into a Manta, and straight after that, he has an MKB queued up.
It is a PA game, right? Like, you're always going to be wanting to build into that MKB as fast as possible to mitigate that durability the PA has from her blur. Want to take away that passive from that hero. Definitely necessary. Not the most common early pickup on the Face's Void, of course. In situation like this, or if the Butterfly should give a lot more to Savage to play with. Still, sitting on that Chrono cooldown, we've talked about that for a bit. Doesn't look like FNatic is really pressured to start these fights. Adroit that kinda looks like they're pushed it back behind, trying to offs.
23 Savage. Continue to force out this top wave. The rest of Adroit just taking over the Radiant side jungle. That's the really the only safe space for them. Mac is actually going to TP top to try and defend up against this push from Savage. Because you still have the Chrono, and they're definitely looking for an opportunity to use it. So FNatic, they'll smoke up again, looking to try and start a team fight, and CML, well, he'll be a very, very easy target. Absolutely no problem for Moon. In fact, they have found all the creeps, and that's going to be a fair bit of gold. Going to the way of Moon, who claims all those centaurs, and he wants more. He's not done. That Hell Bear, a very lucky bear to get away, and Hack, stunned up, out of position.
Into the void.
How did he get there?
A hook shot though.
Okay, they find Ice, but you lost your Ember Spirit, and I'm not quite sure how he got to that specific location.
Remnanted in. I think his only remnant was way at the back. Rotation in that jungle. He goes back in, doesn't have a way to go back out, and gets caught out.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
All Baneroons will spawn up. A 2-for-2 trade, it seems. Both top Baneroons will go to the way of FNatic. Savage wants to go for a Roshan. You can't blame him for that. He has the full mantra up. I don't need to say again he has the Chrono up, because he still does. Adroit, whether they team fight and try to counter this Roshan attempt is a completely different story. I don't think they're able to do this. And, well, they don't really need to anyway. FNatic, they leave the Roshan bit. They're not interested.
Got rocket flared out and didn't want to force the fight. They just opt to pull back. Probably waiting for perhaps the kisses to be back up. Or they're confident there, either way. Not commit for that, and does give Adroit a bit of an opportunity to try to go hunting themselves. But they're under wards.
They are. Boomy. Does get the cogs off. That is onto a Void Spirit. He can always just do that. Well, Chrono will be there from Savage. Who do you want? Of course you want Mac on the Ember. They blow him up, and now an amazing cookie from Jabs onto 3. Natsumi just melting. The Mortimer's kiss is already flying to where he blink strikes out. Hookshot will cancel those kisses off, but Natsumi's got nowhere left to go. He will die. And meanwhile, Jabs is still perfectly alive. He's chasing Boomy now on the clock. Moon is cutting through the mid lane, trying to find the clockwork as well. Maybe instead of all that, you just go for a tier 3 push, and FNatic intends to do so apparently.
There's really nothing to stop them, right? You've got that Desolator on the PA, sure, the damage is great. She doesn't have the BKB up, not ready to just jump in and sacrifice like that. They did expend a wall, they expended the Hand of God as well. So this is just going to be a really straightforward push for FNatic.
Especially with that Solar Crest from Moon. Savage really does siege quite quickly. They will only take the range creep. Most of Adroit has respawned. They won't have Chrono, so they won't risk anything. But with the 10k net worth lead at 22 minutes in, and at least one range Rax, they are looking great. You know, we may as well have a look at the win probability for FNatic right now. They are sitting at 81%. So Dota Plus hasn't really ruled out the side of Adroit quite yet. It is only one Rax down, but it is looking very nice for FNatic.
Definitely is. They've managed to pretty much get all the objectives they want, hit all their timings, they've slowed down Adroit. We haven't really seen that Chen be a major factor in pushes. Even in the sustain, it just hasn't felt like it's been enough coming out from CML. Or, I believe, flying out. That BKB on Natsumi does pick it up, so a massive power spike for Adroit. They want to reveal it in a big way. Can they find the right targets?
Smoke gonna be there. They've got the BKB up. They really want to make use of this, but it's still gonna be a hard team fight. Nonetheless, they have 30 seconds without the Chrono. That's when this 10-second charge needs to be used. They do scan out the Roshan. This could be a big team fight for Adroit. Wall will be dropped. FNatic, do you stick around? Not quite. They want to back out of there. Adroit still looking to make their way into this as DJ will disconnect. That is some awkward timing, but at least he is in the Vendetta. I don't believe he's been scouted out. The reconnection will be quite quick anyway. Do Adroit find anybody, John? There's 9 seconds left for Chrono.
They've kind of missed a window. That wall was way preemptive.
It's a bit early. DJ, nice spike Carapace, and a 3-man impale. Now the Mortimer's kisses to fly in. Where is the Void? Not there quite yet. He's just hanging in the back lines, waiting for the perfect opportunity. Now 23 Savage does start going after some Chen creeps as Natsumi will blink in with his BKB, but Decrepify is there, and Jabs will not die as Savage does get jumped on, but Natsumi thinks better of it, and Adroit just needs to back.
Rather surprised FNatic.
Yes?
FNatic didn't go in for the Chrono. Like, they didn't counterfight there, but they still managed to go into the Roche, and that's not going to be contested by Adroit now.
Well, that's the beauty of not using the Chrono, right? Like, you don't use it, you waste their 10-second BKB charge, and you get Roshan anyway. Like, this is the problem we had in the drafting phase, where it's like you chose PA into plug and avoid. And even with the BKB, you just decrepify your teammates. Unless the Pugna's dead, you're not going to be able to do anything.
Not enough from Natsumi. They really need to prioritize finding Ice. They did try. They force him down. Or staff out. They didn't have the control. And Ice just lives on to be a nuisance to this PA.
Certainly does, and now Yule's going to be there on to Boomy. The clock really has no way out of this. He could try for the hook shot, but who are you hook shotting? He uses it, but Moon and Ice had enough damage. Really unfortunate as that hook shot was just about to latch onto the Chen.
Just painful all around for Adroit. They are going to have to drop this tier 2. Can look for a high ground defense. They do have the wall up and ready to go from Bach. They haven't really seen it to great effect just yet. Haven't seen the biggest drops, and with the Vac on top of that, they need to step it up because they rely on that for these teams.
Barracks are under attack. Radiant structures are fortified.
Chained up, not that he really cares too much. Wall will be dropped, but the Rax is already basically gone. They will slow things down a little bit. In fact, Savage is falling low, but he does have Aegis. He has the life drain there from Ice. More importantly, it looks like they're just going to wait out the Roshan. The Siege Creep will get it done anyway. The Rax will go down.
Like that, FNatic pull back safely. Not under any pressure to find any more objectives on the map. Just go back to farming, go back to building up. More than likely just going to wait for Savage to finish up his own BKB. It's not too far off. I believe he's about 100 gold now. Completely buy it out, and once that's up and running, FNatic will be pretty much set to just take any fight they want.
Feels like they're pretty much set to take any fight they want right now. So, oh, and a Paladin Sword as well. Are you kidding me?
Oh.
So Savage not only gets his BKB up, but he gets arguably the most broken item in terms of neutral items, and now he finds Boomy. Cogs is going to push him back, but a nice cookie will actually drop him down the cliff. Savage should be able to still cut Boomy off, but doesn't really want to commit Chrono, but Moon, he's just on point with his Aether elements, but now we're back. We'll save for now. Boomy does go down regardless. It doesn't matter.
That was probably the best back we've seen this entire game from Bach. This Heights do that without the wall on top. I really want to see that combo go off. It's a big part of Adroit's draft, and it's just not there. It's just not shining through because they can't get the proper combo off. Ideally, you get the wall drop, back wall in, hook shot in, cogs them in on that wall area, and just whack away with your Ember Spirit PA. Unable to get that combination off. FNatic figure out all the towers from Adroit now. Nothing left outside their base. Adroit is going to be forced back a lot more than they were.
There's the wall being dropped again, but you won't see that back wall combination. It's just trying to delay the inevitable, it feels. Savage, he's just going to have mid lane. these preemptive wall drops just haven't been paying off at all.
Definitely not. I can kind of get the mindset, but they're really not going to be winning out by doing this any further.
Savage will just continue to time walk off any kind of damage they throw at him. And, has Aegis, has BKB, they'll pump up the racks. There's no real magic damage going out on the racks anyway. It's a slow siege, but it'll get there. It's very clear Adroit are the ones that actually need to start the team fight. And Natsumi, he goes. He found Ice. Now that's a good start. Adroit, they could capitalize off this. There is no buyback available on Ice, but Savage looking for the chrono. There's the vac. Natsumi, he's down to half HP. Instead, they do turn around to Bok, but Savage, he cops a lot of damage from that dagger crit. But he will time walk it off. And now the Yules from Moon. Instrument locks him in and Bok is dead. The buyback is immediate. Savage is still holding on to that chrono. Aegis does expire before the chrono is used, although they do find Boomy now. Boomy, a very easy target. Does buy back again immediately as well. FNatic just really taking this quite surgically. Savage almost ties to the crit, but what a chrono coming out.
Man.
There's a 3-man. Where's the follow-up? It's not quite there, but they do get Mac on the Ember. He does not have buyback, and everyone is just starting to fall very, very low on Adroit. As Savage going after Bok again. They just really don't like this Darkseer. Now Natsumi also being controlled up, but at least they do find the Snapfire and kill Bok. Still surviving as the hookshot is there from Boomy. Savage. Can you find it? Not quite. He does get to the fountain in time, but instead you look for the dieback on the clockwork, and Boomy will survive. Savage just not feeling as confident without that Aegis. Everyone is basically being healed up by Ice anyway, so they can reset that way, but it also if they don't want to risk anything, they got the melee barracks, they're just going to back off for a bit, try to reset and maybe come back in a little bit later.
They've almost finished up what looks to be that MK. Well, onto Savage. Lacking one part, I believe, Demon Edge left for him. So once that's up and running, they're going to have a lot more confidence going into these fights. Again, they already have every single tool, but you did see moments where Savage just couldn't get the backup. They didn't have the Kisses up and running when the Chronosphere was dropped, so they kind of lacked out in damage. There were moments where Adroit could just easily pick them off. They are still holding out here, right? Like, they still have one of their mid racks up. They still have their bot racks up.
Bok really doesn't want to die like this, but it's a die back. Moon just on the Void Spirit, just so effective. The real monster in this game. And I suppose this might be the point where they'll go high ground again. You still won't have Chrono for another 45 seconds, but something tells me he doesn't really need it.
He has the MKE. He can really just get all the damage out. PA could jump in, doesn't really care, can man fight back, get that damage on.
You've got an 8th lens now on Ice as well, so he has plenty of range in CML. Just getting bashed to death. He pops the mech, but it does nothing. Savage just going to go into the tier 3 now. A 21k net worth lead for FNatic. Boomy do not go in there, so it is very, very dangerous right now. And it looks like Boomy is going to end up dying back. As a nice bash is there on Savage. Can they crit him out? Not quite. Ice will just passively heal him up again. Pops his own Aeon Disc.
No.
Now Mac, he's going to pray not to get bashed. He'll Remnant, but he uses all of them to try and just get out. And CML, he just fought back on the Chen. And this game is basically officially over, as now the Fountain dive from Savage. Savage, you aren't that tanky, but he may just be tanky enough to find Bok. And it looks like they want the full team wipe, as now the PA getting caught out. It's a rampage for Savage. And what a way that'll be to finish off the night. Savage will finish off in style. And FNatic, that was a very, very dominant victory.
Definitely. It was not as dominant as Game 1 and 1.